Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. Today, we come to you with another Ask Us Anything webinar. And this is a webinar where we get your questions, we answer them live, and we present a feature of TalentLMS just as a conversation starter. And without further delay, let's jump right into this. My name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I will be hosting this session and answering your questions live. But I have a great support system from Mary, who behind the scenes will also help with your questions. So get comfy and let's start the session. What we have in store for you today? Today we have everything that has to do with ILTs. ILTs, instructor-led training sessions. And we're here to show you how to create ILT units and courses, how learners can access those live sessions. And of course, it's all about measuring your success. So we will see how to export ILT reports. And of course, don't forget, we have a live Q&A. Basically, this webinar is a live Q&A. The presentation will only take 10 minutes and will be the conversation starter. Just remember to ask your question, find the Q&A button in the dashboard of Zoom. So let's take a look together now, locate the Q&A button and use it even from now to ask your questions. Of course, you can ask your questions anonymously as well, but we would really love to know your name so that way we can have a one-on-one conversation with you. And the session is recorded, right? You can see already the recording button there, and you will receive the recording once the session is over. Feel free to share it, feel free to spread the word, and watch it again if you wish. So let's get started. Without any more delays, let me share my screen here. And what you might see here already is a very familiar view that most of you have already encountered if you're admins in TalentLMS. So this is the admin panel, and this is where we start talking about IELTS. What is an ILT? What is an instructor-led training unit? An ILT is a unit that can live in your courses, and there you can create sessions. With the sessions, you can have live webinars as part of your courses that users can register in order to get live training from you. And those can be remote, and those can be on-site as well. We'll see examples, but first we need to talk about what tool we will be using, how we're going to facilitate those. And that is the admin's job. Look at the admin dashboard right here, and let's go to the account and settings together. And from there, scroll all the way down and have a look at the conferences. This is where the tools that you will use stand. And in fact, we have two options that you can work with the integrations, one being the native TalentLMS integration, and then you can integrate your own tool. Let's see the benefits of both. If you use the integrated video conference, that is something that we provide in your portal. You can select it, you can create a meeting right away without any further setups, and you can have up to 40 people in that meeting, which makes it for one instructor and 39 learners. Of course, you can create as many as you need, but just be mindful of the participants of 40 people maximum. But then you can always integrate your own provider, like Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, GoToTraining, Big Blue Button. For example, I'm using Zoom. And the benefit of that, first of all, you set it and you forget it. You just do it once, and then you can create your meetings within your courses, while at the same time, TalentLMS will trigger your meeting provider and create a link there. And the result is that you will have a meeting that people can join. They get the very familiar environment that they already know, since you use that provider anyways. And you as a host, as an instructor, you are able to use the same tools like annotations, recording, or any other tools, polls maybe we have in Zoom. So you can always use the tools that you normally use in your meetings, but organize everything just from TalentLMS in your courses. And the setup is very easy for that. You select what meeting you want, and then just go to the tooltip there, learn more, and you will see the step-by-step instructions in our help center. Now, how do we create meetings though? The administrator is setting up the tools and the instructor is actually doing the job. The meetings will be created within the course. So let's go and build together an instructor-led training unit. I'm going into my course here, and straight away, let's jump onto the units list where we can actually go and add a unit. So there we have it, add an instructor-led training unit here. And the instructor-led training unit will be consisted of the session that you want to introduce. And in that case, I'm just going to make it an introductory one just to meet the instructor before actually starting with the course. So the unit name here, I'm just going to add the title of my unit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a description. So that way, anybody who joins the course and anybody who looks into that unit knows what it is about. So let's go to the options and there on the description, add what we would like to have. So now the next step, let's add the session. The session can take place anytime you wish. So I'm just going to make it a morning one. And if I just add the morning session option here, and then you can just customize the rest of the details. For example, I'm going to make it for Monday, let's say. Start time, well, for a Monday, I think 10:30 is more than fair. Everybody has time for coffee. And then the instructor, I can keep it to myself. And then I can always just choose somebody else from the course. But remember, it's one host that you have to have. The type, remember before we said we can have instructor-led training sessions on site or remotely. So if you work on a hybrid model and that is your on-site day, of course, you can have the location here of the meeting room, of the office, or any other indication for people to gather around. Or we can do a webinar. And we're still kind of remote, aren't we? So webinar, tick the box, create a new webinar, and that will trigger the link that will be used to facilitate the actual meeting. Duration, very important. People need to know how long they would be there. So 30 minutes in this case. And description, of course, we can encourage people on a Monday morning to bring their coffee and their questions as well. Add the session, and of course, save and view now to see what we created together. So the learners are in the course, and you can see here the name of the course and the list of units. If you have other units before, that's fine. If you just have that one, this is what people will see. This is an instructor-led event where you connect for the first time with your users. So this is how the description of the unit is important, so people know what to expect, and the morning session that we have here. Now, we have the dates, the name of the session. This is the description of the session, if you see, and then the time, and of course, the name of the instructor. How do people join the event? First of all, you see the join button here. It is grayed out for now, but worry not, it will be automatically activated about 10 to 15 minutes before the actual session starts. So don't worry, people will be able to click when the time is about to start, and then they will be able to get to the meeting. And as an instructor here, you see the number of registered users. Of course, the learners will never know the number of registered users, but what they will see is a button that just says register. And why is it important for people to register? You might wonder, they're already in the course, right? Yes, they are. But will they RSVP in your events? Yes. So they click the register button, and that is an automated yes. They don't need to do anything else, just click the register button. Or instead of waiting for them to do it, you can just register them yourself for the event. So now in this course, I have just for people for now. So I can just select Ron, for example, to be part of my session. Or I'm going to give you a tip here, because if you have 50 people, that's going to take some time. If you hover next to user, you see the box, tick it, everybody is selected, and then mass actions, or maybe remove the one that we just did manually. Mass actions, add to session, and then now we will add all of the users pending to be added into the session. So mass actions to register everybody or the ones that you want in bulk. And of course, they are on the session user, and now they are just waiting for the session to take part. Of course, we're not going to wait together till Monday, so I'm just going to go back to my dashboards and go to another course to show you what happens when they actually join the event takes place, and then they need to be graded. If we get to a course that we have already a session that took place a little bit earlier, we can select it, basically hover, and then go to the users. Click on it, and here you will be able to see a list of users based on attendance that you can grade individually or en masse as well. But what does it mean to see a checkbox on the attendance list? Well, if you see the checkbox, it means that the learner clicked the link to join the session. So they click the link, the join, That's it. They have attended. Of course, you cannot know how long they have stayed in the session, and especially if you have integrated your meeting provider, that's a report that you will see on that provider's data. But at least you know that they have clicked the link, they were in the session, and they were with you at that time. To grade them individually, of course, you can click and you can grade somebody by providing a status, a grade, and comments. Or again, a good tip here, must grade users. And then with the status, if I remove pending and switch to attended webinar, of course, I can say the past. I'm going to be generous, say 90. If I want, I can add comments, but I can skip it as well, save. And now those people have been graded, so that way you can see the graded attendees. And one final thing before we jump into your questions. If I go back to my course here, how can I see reports? As instructor, I can see reports within the course. So very quickly and briefly, we'll go to the reports. And then apart from the view that you would normally see, just go to the ILTs here, and you will see that we have the name of the units and the session. I know that at this point, you might not be able to see it, but bear with me, that is an account that sometimes we use for experiments, and sometimes you might see that little delay. We apologize, but we're here. So options, you see the name of the unit, and now you will be able to see all of the people that have been graded and pending maybe. You can see a chart as well, and more information about the individual session. And of course, as with any TalentLMS report, the ability to export and schedule it. I know I've been talking a lot, so let's pass the mic to you. So let me just jump onto the Q&A here and do this together. So Kushik is asking, how do we update the attendance for each ILT for a series of sessions? Currently, I could only see the score and grade option. Kushik, that is a great question. So let me just ask you this though. Are we looking for the attendance of a webinar, or are we looking for an attendance of a classroom event? Let me show you both. For the webinar, you don't have a way to manually say that somebody has attended, so you cannot check the box for them. But of course, at any given point, even if they didn't physically attend and you don't see the checkbox, definitely you can just go and grade them individually or in mass sorting by status. But if you're talking about a physical event, a classroom event, let me show you this. If I go back to my course here, and if I just, let's say, create an instructor-led training session, which I will call, for example, let's do it with the units. Let's do it on site. And then let me just add a session and just bring the session as we need. Let's just do it here. So in Office, for example, of course, you can adjust the daytime and everything. If you create something that is physically mandatory to be there, what you can do then when you register the users. So if I go back to my register users and I register the users for the session, again, mass actions and register everybody for that session. Then I can go to my session users here, and all the way down, you see, I can print the attendance sheet. So I can click on it, and in your physical session, of course, you can print it or you can download it on your device, and there people will be able to just mark their attendance. So they just sign it like a presentation form that you would have live. I'm not sure if this is what you are looking for, but let me know if you have any clarifications. Let's see another question, and that is for Eleni. Eleni is asking, will there be integration with Google Meet in the future? Well, Eleni, great question. And that is something that we don't have currently available, but our developers are aware for it. So I'm definitely going to pass your message to them. But there's an alternative here if you want. And let me show you that. If I go to the course, let's go to the one that we created that session before. What you can do is this. You can go to the unit, and then you can create a new session, but instead of registering that as a webinar, you put in the description the link of the Google Meet that you would have. So for example, if I just go to edit this unit here, and let's see, and just add another one. So add another session here. Let's do it. And if I just call it here for Google Meet, let's say, instead of using webinar, you can just leave it as classroom and put the meeting link here, or since it's going to be a webinar, just add the Google link in the description. And I'm going to give you a tip as well. The description here accepts HTML. So if you want, you can make it a hyperlink too. And then of course, just add the session, and the users, if I go to save now, they will be able to see that you have that session here and the Google link is available for them to copy paste or click if you make it clickable. I hope that helps. For now, definitely that is the webinar to suggest. Let's say there's another question as well. So at this point, we're looking at a question from Nicole. So Nicole is asking, do branches allow us to have custom certificate for that branch and custom gamification? Well, Nicole, great question. I'm going to answer to you yes to some, not so much for gamification, but I'm going to show you what we can do. If I go back as an admin, custom certificates can be created in templates, but also the certificates don't have to do with a branch, they have to do with a course. So if you want to have a custom certificates into a branch, you need to duplicate the course, so create a clone of the course, and then apply that custom certificates into the clone that is designated for the branch. And to quickly clone a course, just hover onto the course, click on the magnet there, clone, and assign that course to the branch. And of course, if you have created a certificate template for that branch, in the cloned version of the course designated to the branch, just choose that specific certificate. So the answer is yes, you can have them as long as you clone the courses designated to the branches and user-related certifications. For gamification though, the gamification settings in the accountant settings, they are global settings as we call them. So if you go here, you will see that you can adjust the points, the badges and the levels and the leaderboard options just for the entire account, including the branches. But with the badges, you have the option to go and customize badges. And from there, you can create different sets. So we have the Space Lab, Evolution, Stickers, and so on. If I go to another set that I want, for example, the old school one, you can always click on any badge, upload your own badge, click on the name and edit the name. So you see where I'm going there? You can create different sets and of course, go all the way and make sure that you have updated everything. Now, going into the branch settings. So if I go right from there to the branch settings, and if I go, for example, to my external one, here, all the way down, we can always go to update the badge set to be different. So technically, the settings are global, but the badge settings can be different as well. Of course, we can elaborate a little bit more into this. So if you would like, trainingteam@talentlms.com, send us an email, tell us what you would like to be different, and then we can provide the related assistance. And there is another question as well, this time from Lawrence. What is the difference between conference and ILT? Great question, Lawrence. So the ILT is facilitated only within the courses. So it is part of the course, people can get graded about it, and it's the opportunity to really attend live training. The conference is not related to the course. You can definitely invite people that belong to a course, but the conference is something that is targeted for everybody in your account. So everybody can see the conferences. Of course, based on permissions, they can create or not create, but they can see the conferences. So if I go to my conferences here, you will see that I have a webinar that I created in my course. But if I go to add a conference right now and I call it training goals, for example, this can be a more generic meeting about what would be the Q4 training goals and anything that I want everybody to drop in if they want. Of course, I can select a start time, let's say a little bit after lunch, and I can just add my conference there. And now you see the difference interface. There's no course related here. I can always go and add the people that I want, or I can filter them by course or group. So yes, I can only add people who belong, for example, in that course by hovering, selecting, and then mass actions, add them to the conference. And I can do the same for groups though. So here I can always just go apart from courses and do the same with people from groups. And then in my user list of the conference that I'm just creating, I see people being invited. But remember again, the ILTs being part of the courses, they are connected to notifications related to the courses. But the conferences don't have that. So then you need to go to notify users, drop them a message, and this is something that they will receive. So think about conferences like an all hands meeting for the entire participation of the account, and IELTS as designated training sessions for the course members only. I hope that helps. And there is another one from Kushik as well. Following on from the previous question for attendance, I was looking on multi-session attendance update. So let me just go over that because I'm sure that many of you might have asked the question as well. Let's go back into the actual live training that we created before. So we have created here two different events. We have created event number one, which is hosted with integration, event number two, which is a Google link. Doesn't matter how they're hosted, doesn't matter if they're a webinar in a classroom or both webinars. All that matters is that within one unit, the one called live training, you can have more than one sessions if you want. So this is the deal here. The learners need to attend one of those units. So to complete one of those sessions, so to complete the ILT unit that we have created with two sessions inside, they need to attend only one out of those. So you give them the choice to either attend this one or attend that one. But how can you make them attend both and still complete the unit? If we go back and we go to the edit option there, and we go to this second one that we created here and go to edit, you have the option to use the multi-session link. So here we will link this one with the one that we had before. And of course, we can name it, for example, let's say option one. And you'll see why I'm talking about that option. So we have linked now the current session with the previous one. So update. And you see that there's a chain here between those sessions, save and view. And now you will see that within the same unit, see the difference? We have both sessions with one register button. So now somebody who will join that course, they come to that unit, they register, but they register for both sessions to attend. So they will complete the units if they attend both sessions. I hope that helps. But again, because that is a broad question that we will need to look at your specific scenario as well, send us an email, trainingteam@talentlms.com, so we can elaborate and advise individually for your specific setup. And there's another update as well here, another question. So let's say from Megan. Megan is asking, is there a way to make the ILT searchable? Oops, sorry, that question went away. But I think that you were talking about making the ILT searchable from the learners in the catalog or from the learners into the portal. Well, if you make the course related to the ILT, so yes, the ILT is within the course, but if you make the title or the description part of the course and part of the ILT names, if you make it clear that that will be the course related to that, when the learners are searching here for courses, they will be able to see results based on the course title and the description. So technically, they can search for that if it is visible in the title or the description. But again, I think that I missed part of your question because it just went away here. So please let me know what you were looking for. And oh yes, perfect. The question came up again. So I hope that I answered your question as well. And there is another one as well. Violetta is asking, how many sessions can be linked? Well, sky's the limits. Any sessions that you want, you can link them. Of course, I haven't tried that with extensive numbers, but if we're looking at, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 sessions, I think that they would be linked. But think about then how easy you want to have a set of 10 sessions being linked at the same time and the users actually attending all of them. If you're trying to create a schedule which will be proactive for the entire year that people will take the course, I would at least separate the units per month or per weeks so that it will be easier for them to navigate. And there is another one as well. So Indira is asking, do we have ILT on the starter annual plan? Yes, Indira, you have ILT on any plan, even on the free trial. So feel free to go ahead, test it out, and let us know how that works. And yes, you can also integrate your providers on the starter plan on ILTs. Perfect. So thank you, Megan, for confirming that that was the right thing. That lifts a little bit of weight from my shoulders. And let's go for another one. I think Siva is asking, is there a way where we can have more number of users, more than 99, who can register for the webinar? Well, Siva, if you're using your own integration, 100%. And I'm going to tell you why you saw 99 on mine as well. I'm using Zoom meetings, and on my Zoom meetings, I have a license of 100 people. If I was using my Zoom webinar, I would have a license of 1,000 people, so that number would change. But what you have to keep in mind is the number of users of your TalentLMS portal as well, because I might have 100 users there, but maybe I might be on a plan that supports 500 users. So still, you want to check how many users your plan has and your course learners can be. And then, of course, match that or less with the users that you have on your meeting provider. So those two have to coordinate. I'm not going to try to do math. I think I failed on my calculations before. And let's see a final question here, or maybe more than one question here. Yeah, Gabriela is asking, is it possible to organize the discussion topics under courses so that I can see the discussion topics organized rather than all of them dumped in one area? Well, Gabriela, great question. And what I'm reading between the lines here is that you would like to have that as a feature. So our product team will get your message and we will communicate that demand. But now I don't think that you can have it as an option. What you can do though with discussions is this. If we go as an instructor for a quick moment and we work with discussions, you see that you can kind of change the visibility of the discussions. This is not a solution, this is a workaround. So here you can see that specific users can see the topic and you can see discussions by groups. So my workaround to that would be to at least have groups of people based on topics. So if a topic, for example, is marketing, if a topic is sales, if a topic is support, have the group of people named by the topic, and then make the related discussions visible to the people in that group and in that topic. Again, not the best solution, but definitely something that I hope you can work with. So I think we have one final question here, and that question is from Julia. Julia is thanking Mary for her answer. So thank you, Mary, as well. How do we add custom ILT fields, or is that what you're saying we need to log with you? Well, if you're talking about custom fields, definitely please follow up with us so we can see exactly what you're looking for. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to quickly show you, but I'm going to tell you with the attendance reports, the one that you can actually go and download and print and have physically with your users right there. If we go, for example, all the way down to the attendance sheet, not the report, the sheet, here you have the option to have custom fields as well if you use them. So, for example, if you go to edit here and you want to customize, you have the option to add your custom fields as well. I hope that helps. And I know that we are almost on time. So let me just bring back my slides and show you this. I'm going to show you the ways that you can communicate with us and get more questions answered. So feel free to send us an email, trainingteam@talentlms.com. This is our direct inbox. All of our team will be able to answer your questions. And of course, on that note, I would love to thank Mary for answering questions on the chat, because I know there's a lot of questions coming in. And we want to ask you a question. Can you give us your feedback? There is a feedback form right now in the chat that we would love you to participate. It takes less than a moment and only has 2 questions. And we want to know what you loved about the session, what you would like to see, so that way we bring you the webinars that you want to attend. And talking about webinars, where can you see all of our webinars? In the Academy, TalentLMS Academy webpage. talentlms.com/webinars, you will find our upcoming sessions and you will find our past sessions as well. And we have lots of upcoming ones. We have Getting to Know TalentLMS for those that are new here. We're going to have a feature webinar about reports, so mark the calendar too. Thank you so much for being part of the Ask Us Anything today. We hope to answer as many of your questions, and again, follow up with us by email and with a survey to just keep the conversation going. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary. Take care and see you next time. Bye-bye.